I can see you.
Recording is on. Recording is on.
Okay, great. Now it's done. Now that.
Oh, it's echoing.
That's.
Might have to put on a headset or something.
Better sound? Is better sound?
No.
No. Okay, I'll leave that.
Oh boy. Do you have earbuds, Christoph? Because I feel like you're getting feedback.
Yeah. So if I share my screen, I can't see anybody of you, but I'll I'll talk into the blind. So no worries. Okay, no. Okay. So yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm Christoph Mussenbrock from EasyRisk. I'm one of the founders, co-founders. We are 3 founders. Beside me, there is Renat Kasancin and Stefan Karpiszek. And currently, we have a bit shared our workload. So Renat is working on a side project, Atomica, and Stefan is in Switzerland on the University of St. Gallen and is doing research for token models. And I'm doing most of the actual project work here with EasyRisk. And I will guide you through some slides so you get some background. I don't know if you know EasyRisk. Some people know us quite well, but so if it's too long, then please just let me know, then I will speed a little bit up. Okay. We started actually 2000, yeah, that's the history of Bitcoin and tokens. We started in 2014 when Ethereum was launched, and that was the first moment when I got in contact with blockchain and immediately started working on an idea. My personal background, I'm a mathematician and physician, and I have worked in the German banking industry for 25 years and a long time in the banking IT. So I was a product manager for a large banking system and things like this, electronic banking and so on, and also risk management. And so when Ethereum started, then it immediately drew my attention and I started working on some prototype. And first prototype was an insurance product, flight delay. And so we launched a flight delay in 2016 at DEFCON 2. That was the first more complex step at that time with a real-world application. And so it was quite well received. And we started then to build up our company, EasyRisk, around this prototype. And we very quickly saw that there is more demand than just for one insurance product, but actually there is a need for fully automated insurance products which can be built in a short time and launched quickly, and that was where we entered. Then 2017, you know, there was the big ICO hype, and we also started thinking on an ICO, which we conducted in 2018. And now, 2 years later, we are in the DeFi space, and this has also some influence on our plans. And I will quickly tell you what that means for us. So why are we doing decentralized insurance? We know that the traditional insurance is often very unfair because it's selling promises which are never fulfilled, at least here in the Urban Dictionary. So we tried to do it better. So we wanted to create an insurance system which is fully transparent and fully fair, and which always pays out according to predefined rules. So actually, very basic idea. We have a data source. A data source, for example, for flight delay is a large flight database where we have a real-time access to all business flights worldwide, and we can see if a flight is delayed shortly after the landing. And this data is transferred to blockchain via an oracle. We started with Provable. Now we are working together with Chainlink. And then we can use a smart contract which decides if a certain insurance contract has a payout, because the flight is insured. And the user interface is, of course, some web application and MetaMask, some wallet, and there you can buy your policy. And the rest is fully automated on blockchain. There is no human interference, there is no human decision, no human agents, and so the full system is completely transparent and fair. So that was the basic idea, and of course you can exchange flight starts against any data source, for example weather data for crop insurance or any other data source which you have, and data is abundant today, so actually you can use any data source which describes a certain risk and build a smart contract insurance system around it. And because it is so generic, we decided not to build a specific smart contract for every single product, but to build a generic framework, an insurance framework, GIF. But I will come to this later. So here's the workflow: select the flight, calculate the premium. That is the first time where we ask the oracle, because we need historical flight data. The delays in the past are used to calculate the risk for a delay in the future. Then the premium is paid. Then, of course, you need to fly. And if the flight is delayed, then you get an automated payout. And of course, ideally, the whole payout is also processed via some stablecoin, for example, or other crypto asset, because everything is on blockchain. Okay, so that is the basic idea. So this system where the whole insurance process is driven by data is also called a parametric insurance. So we are focusing on parametric insurance, and this is a bit different from, for example, Nexus Mutual. Nexus Mutual is also a blockchain-based insurance, but they don't have a data-driven system, but they have a governance-driven system. So they have risk assessors, which are humans, and a group of risk assessors makes the decisions which insurance policies are paid out. In our case, everything is automated, data-driven, and so we are covering two different areas in the insurance space. And so I think both ways are have a large opportunity. And so you have seen Nexus Mutual has had a huge demand in summer, and we are a bit after this because we have worked on other products in the meantime, which I will explain later here. So the next step was for us, we have been asked to develop a micro-insurance or inclusive insurance system by two partners, Oxfam and Aon. Aon is a large insurance broker, and Oxfam is a large organization for not-for-profit organization for development of underdeveloped countries. And these three have been working together on a micro-insurance scheme in Sri Lanka. And that was what we did in 2019 after our TGE. That was the first product that we have brought to the public, all on a small scale, but that was our first product. So it was not that much recognized in the crypto space, but mainly in the traditional insurance space. It's something very innovative because the operating cost of such a microinsurance is very low. It's all based on blockchain. There are no human agents, so the operating costs are very low. And so it makes insurance affordable for also smallholder farmers, which have not much money to pay, and gives them the opportunity to insure mainly against weather risks. So here you see the ratio. You see most of these underdeveloped countries have a very low ratio of coverage in respect to the whole volume of economy. And that creates a huge opportunity for us to build inclusive insurance there. And we can not only insure the actual risk, which is at the top left corner of the slide, but we can also insure the whole value chain. So everybody on the value chain, from supplier, producer, retailer, consumer, they all profit of this insurance, and they all pay a small part of the premium. So actually that stabilizes the whole scheme, and it makes the business for smallholder farmers much more resilient against weather influence. Okay, but at the same time, we also worked on the other areas of insurance, and one of the large obstacles was always regulations. Insurance is highly regulated in all countries, so we asked the German regulator, BaFin, that is an authority, and they are responsible for licensing all insurance companies in Germany. And we asked that they give us a license, and they said, okay, no problem. Only what you need is 5 million euros. So that was not what we had in our bucket. So we asked, is there any way around this? Are there any exceptions? But unfortunately, they did not give us any opportunity, and that was a large blocker for some time for us. But finally, we found out that there is a small loophole in the legal structure in Germany. And the idea is, in Germany, insurance is always connected with a legal claim. And so that is the red print here. And that is also in the US and other countries. So insurance is always a legal claim to get a payout if some loss event happens. And so we invented a scheme where you say, okay, if the legal promise is the core of the whole system, and if this legal promise is also the reason for all the regulations and laws and compliance and whatever, which creates a huge cost and entry barrier, then let's get off this legal promise. So what we did, okay, we said, do we need a legal promise? We need it, of course, for large insurance policies. You need legal claims and all this stuff, also to protect customers. But in many cases, consumer protection and investor protection can be made much simpler. So especially for small insurance products with small premiums, you don't need legal enforcement and you don't need a legal promise. So what we did, we replaced the legal promise by a technical promise. We said, okay, we don't promise you legally to pay out, but we put your money in a smart contract, and the smart contract is deterministic. It cannot be manipulated. So if you put your money in a smart contract, then the smart contract will decide objectively if there is a payout, and then you get your money and you don't need a legal claim. So replace a legal guarantee by technical guarantees. And this is a funny thing that the German regulator accepted this new model where we explicitly exclude any legal claim. And the only guarantee is a technical guarantee. So they said, okay, you can do this. And the large advantage is now we are not an insurance in the legal sense. Everything works like an insurance, but we are not an insurance in the legal sense. So no regulations, no requirements, no minimum capital, no 5 million euros starting capital, and so on. So it's a huge opportunity now. And we try to use this, of course, also for DeFi products. DeFi is getting crazy currently, and so we want to also be part of this movement. And we have now the legal framework for this, and we can build insurance policies which are also coined for DeFi. And you know, there's a lot of hacks and crashes around, and you know, also Nexus Mutual is offering smart contract insurance. And you see here in the summer of 2020, we had a huge increase in demand for smart contract insurance, and actually Nexus Mutual was completely sold out, and they were not be able to sell more policy because their risk capital was not enough. And so we think there is a large opportunity also, of course, for us. And now we have, of course, one problem for this roadmap what we have, especially in the next 2 years, where we want to launch flight delay in a new way. We want to launch crop insurance. We want to launch wallet insurance or other smart contract insurance together with Gnosis, for example. We need funding, and so we are currently looking for a second token sale, and we know Gnosis for a very long time, and we are in contact with them. They are also interested in building a wallet insurance together with us. And then I also stumbled upon the automated market maker bonding curve, and so that's the current state. We are exploring if we can use the Gnosis protocol for our next round of token sale. And that is, of course, where we also want to be part of Mesa and to be able to be part of this whole decentralized exchange, where we want to give our token holders opportunity to trade their tokens. And yes, that's where I come to our proposal. Yeah, we have already launched a proposal, and we want to, first of all, add our token to Mesa. The DIP token is currently traded on Uniswap with a very high volume of something $300,000, $500,000 a day, and increasing. So I think there is currently a good moment for a second sale. And we want to use the Gnosis protocol for this further token sale using an automatic custom market maker with bonding curves. And additionally, it would be super helpful if our token would be listed on Mesa so people can use this in a closed ecosystem. Yeah, that's all what I have to tell. And yeah, we ask you to look at this and actually support our proposal. And yeah, it would be great if we could be part of this. So now I need to find where. There we are.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Christoph. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, in this case, so I don't think we've worked with a token offering on Mesa that already has like a giant liquid market on Uniswap. Mm-hmm. So it's more of like a secondary offering. And I'm wondering, it's a question for the audience in general, because we had some issues where there were some initial offerings and there was actually some liquidity, so there were some sellers also on Mesa in addition to the project. Mm-hmm. But I guess if you are expecting that, it would be okay to put in your offering, your offers into the system according to the curve, but mm-hmm. you can't stop people who have the token from selling on top of you.
Mm-hmm. Of course. That's okay. Yeah. So that's why we are using a bonding curve. So, of course, we currently what we hear from our community is that there are few people who are willing to sell because we have a large roadmap, and people, of course, expect that the token will increase in price, and they are not willing to sell. So there is actually a lack of supply, and so we want to fill this gap with our second token sale, and we are quite sure that we will be able to sell not a huge amount, but actually we do not need that much money. Yeah? So we are not expecting tens of millions. We are expecting a volume of between $1 and $3 million US. That's the range what we expect and what we also need. Because we had our ICO in 2018 where we built our generic insurance framework, which is fully operational. And the only thing what we need is now some funding for example, crop insurance, because that's something what we also want to subsidize. And the other areas what we want to develop some user interface which makes it more easy for third parties to develop their own insurance products. So that's the main topics what we are going to develop to make the system more user friendly and enable more people, more parties to build their own products. And of course, we want to build the whole token economy around this with staking. We have a very nice staking model, which is also won a prize. We have a white paper written by Stefan, and the paper has won a prize in Switzerland. And so we want to implement this system as a staking model for risk pools. And so a lot of things to do. And so we need some more funding, and that is what we are trying to achieve. And I'm pretty sure that it's possible in the current situation.
Cool.
Christoph,
Go ahead.
Christoph, you mentioned getting into DeFi. Like, what? Sorry if I missed it, but where on the roadmap would you be offering insurance for DeFi protocols?
Yeah, the first product will be wallet insurance. So take the Gnosis Safe wallet, and we are currently discussing a model where people can insure their wallets against the very improbable event of a hack. Yeah, Gnosis Safe wallet has been audited. It had a formal verification. So actually, the risk of a hack is really low. But still, people are hesitating to put large amounts in a Gnosis Safe because they think, well, it's super safe, but if there was insurance, that would still be better. Yeah. So we are currently working on this product, and this is still a bit, it's not. We are not much talking about it because we are in an early stage. But I think here. It's fair for you to tell what we have in the pipeline. So wallet insurance will be the first thing, and of course that comes with all token staking and all these. Also, we will provide incentives for people selling these insurance to token holders and so on. So there is a whole system of token incentives and token staking around this. And so that's the DeFi. And of course, if we have wallet insurance, then we can also make the next step to general smart contract insurance in the way Nexus did it and does it. And but that would not be parametric. So it's a bit off our current focus, but we will see if there is a large opportunity, a large demand, then we will also enter in this field.
Gotcha. Is it similar to Nexus in that it's cover that you are selling to any party, or is it exclusively sold to the holder of the wallet?
So we will have two phases of our next sale. The first phase will be exclusively for the early investors. So people who are holding DIP tokens since our ICO and never sold them. They will get a bit favorite conditions, of course, as they have taken all the risk for the last 2 years. So I think it's fair to give them a bit of bonus. But then in the second phase, we will open it to everybody, and so that's the current plan.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have been a little more clear. When you're buying insurance through EtherRisk, is it open to any party to buy? Kind of in Nexus Mutual, you can buy cover. Like I could buy cover on, Uniswap or something without actually holding anything on Uniswap. Is that similar with EtherRisk that anybody could buy the cover, or is it limited to the insured party?
anybody can buy cover, and it's a bit different from Nexus because Nexus is a closed community. Yeah, you need to become member. You have KYC procedures, and so it's a bit of a hassle to enter the system. And the Nexus token is not tradable. It's only tradable in the closed community. So our token is freely tradable. We have no KYC, or at least only very limited. Email and name is sufficient, and everybody can buy cover in our system. That's an advantage of the German legal system. And we have risk pool providers, which are something like liquidity providers on a decentralized exchange. We have risk pool providers, and they provide collateral for risk which can be transferred. And these people need to be KYC. So because we are taking large sums of money, and so we are not legally obliged to make KYC, but from my knowledge of the German financial system, it's very clear that one day or the other, the regulator will come and ask us where does the money come from, and then we should have a good answer. So you can buy, we can sell to anybody, but we can take money for risk pools only from people which we know.
Any more questions?
Has there been any discussion about DAOs buying insurance for themselves?
Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
Like, for instance, DXDAO has a treasury, and I think it could be interesting if DXDAO could insure its own treasury against theft.
Yeah, that would be a smart contract insurance, basically. Yeah, so
Yeah.
any project which has a large treasury, then we could insure this treasury contracts. That's what Nexus Mutual does, actually. And it's not on our near-time roadmap, but depending on how things develop, we will put it on our midterm roadmap.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of technical problems, but one of the problems with Nexus is that DXDAO can't KYC on the Nexus system as a DAO, so you need like a third party. But it sounds like EtherRisk, if the buyers don't have to KYC, that might open up possibilities for DXDAO.
Exactly.
The treasury and the products as well, I think, would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess, I could help boost the proposal for a vote, and I mean, unless there's like any objections to the listing of the DIP token, like I'd be happy to boost it and see if we can get some votes on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the proposal is already boosted, and yeah, I would vote positive for it. I know EtherRisk for a long time already, and I hope to see something coming out from you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, same here. I would support it as well. Thanks for joining, Christoph.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Thanks, Christoph.
Okay, thank you so much. And if there is anything any questions, then please, we have our Telegram channel, and we will open also a Discord server in the next days. So there will be also space to discuss organized by topics. And currently, the Telegram channel is getting a bit overcrowded, so we are moving to Discord, and so we are able to channel all the questions a bit better than now, and happy to see you there.
Yep. Well, one last thing, Christoph.
Okay.
It would take, I believe, 5 or so days for this proposal to pass.
Yep.
They were voted on. In which case, I would like to hear, about any content or announcements that you might have. So maybe you could potentially sync up on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have me on Telegram. So I think that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Alrighty. So I think next topic. I know that John wanted to discuss XDAI related strategy. John, would you like to open that up?
Yeah, sure. I just figured since there wasn't anything else on the schedule and we have a couple of releases coming out on XDAI, we have the DAO out on XDAI now, it might be useful to talk a little bit about it on the biz dev side, like what's our game plan here, like what's going on in XDAI, what do people know? I don't have any big ideas other than, so Mesa is about ready for XDAI support. We just have to figure out the token registry, which I'm going to be working on today. I think Omen, it should be coming onto XDAI within possibly weeks. Yeah, so I just figured it might be good to think about that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe start with the one that's already there, which is the DAO, right? So we have this. We have this side tool, which is a mostly mapped set of the reputation of the same holders, and right now, other than the fact that it was deployed and someone matched the reputation, and we've done a couple proposals, and we've done one on-chain mainnet proposal to fund it, which is in the process of happening. Other than that, like, we don't have clear rules or goals around what DXDAO mainnet is deciding to use it for. So I did make a document with some of the ideas around what it can be used for, and that's in the governance channel on Keybase, I believe. It's a working doc and it can be expanded, but it's like, I guess we need to set guidelines for like what we want to leverage this tool for, and then how we will treat this tool. Like, if you earn reputation on XDAI, like for doing a proposal, does that count as reputation on mainnet too? Or do we try to keep all of the main record of reputation on mainnet, and then we can just like redo, equal it, like the XDAI DAO rep to the mainnet DAO. So like the process of how we're treating rep, the process of if the proposal happens on the XDAI DAO, does that be ratified by the mainnet DAO at some point to be the official voice of the DAO and things like that? So there's all these moving parts. And I think once we have some funds there, the idea is to do a couple competition schemes, which is, there's a bunch of schemes that we can do on XDAI DAO that are easier and that we can't do on mainnet right now. So we can try a few competitions, we could try some bounties, we can try some signal proposals. Other than trying out a few different things and then going from there, I think that would be one of the better ways to proceed. And also, this DAO could have we can give it the ability to control the token lists and parameters of things like DXSwap and Mesa that are going to be, and Omen, that are going to be running on XDAI. So it's a closer connection and a better way to govern those products. So that's like big picture, right?
Right. I'm really like uninformed on like how Mesa is going to work on XDAI, and I'm still learning how XDAI works. But from what I'm understanding, it seems like each asset like has its own bridge, right? Or can there be one place to bridge your ERC20 assets to XDAI?
Oh yeah, so I can talk to that. So the way, okay, so XDAI is its own chain. The way that you get tokens on XDAI, they're basically representations of locked up tokens on mainnet. So the way that a bridge works very simply, and the simplest bridge is the actual XDAI bridge. So if you have in your wallet on mainnet DAI, and you want to bridge it across to XDAI network and you're going to get XDAI. And the way you do that is you go to the XDAI bridge on mainnet, you do a transaction where you lock up, say, 100 DAI, and that goes into a bridge contract that the validators of the bridge control. And so it always comes down to who controls the bridge. In that case, it's a subset of the validators of XDAI network. Once that money is locked up in the bridge contract, what's a new token called XDAI is minted by the same set of validators, but on XDAI network. So in that case, XDAI is actually the native token of XDAI network. So now you have it in your same wallet on XDAI. And when you want to go back across a bridge, you basically do a bridge interaction on XDAI, and it burns the XDAI and releases the locked up DAI on mainnet into your wallet. So you basically lock and mint to go across from mainnet to XDAI, and you burn and release to go back to mainnet, right? And so that's how like the bridges work in general. There is an Omni bridge, and there is also a DAO stack controlled Gen bridge. So anyone can make their own bridges. And in those cases, it's very important to understand who controls the bridges, right? In DAO stack's case, I believe DAO stack controls their XGen bridge. So if you go to their XGen bridge, if you lock up Gen on mainnet, they are going to mint you XGen on XDAI. And so all of the tokens that are on XDAI that are bridge tokens you can think of them as like XGen, or if you move DAI across, you have XDAI, or if you move ETH across, if you move WETH across, you get XWETH. So these ERC20 like tokens on XDAI are basically representations of the actual real ERC20 token that are locked up in a bridge contract on mainnet. So that's how bridges work. And so when you use, there's already something like HoneySwap, which is like a Uniswap clone on XDAI. Mesa will be the same, but the tokens that you'll be using in those platforms will be either representations of ERC20 tokens that are on XDAI, or you can also have natively created ERC20 tokens on XDAI. So from a user perspective, you want to be clear about the token that you're trading. And that's where like a DX swap or a Mesa token curation list matters even more for a user experience. They want to know if they're trading, WETH on XDAI, that they know they're trading the right representation of WETH.
I'm surprised that there isn't like an attempt at like creating some kind of like universal-ish bridge for like multiple assets. And
so there is a universal bridge. It's just that that's governed by the POA team, basically the XI team. So yeah, like I think that's the only way. I think what you mentioned earlier, Ingemar, is like to somehow bridge the liquidity between mainnet and XDAI. But the way this would work is that I would transfer, let's say, DXDAO and ETH and like WETH, and pull them together, like the X DXDAO and X WETH inside the XDAI Mesa or the XDAI DXSwap. And that's kind of how it would work. That's why I'm not like super bullish about like these. Like I don't know if like a lot of liquidity will actually move to XDAI compared to like mainnet. So yeah.
Yeah, like the most liquid pool on XDAI right now is actually on HoneySwap, and it's Honey token against XDAI, I believe. And so that's because Honey token is a natively XDAI, is a native XDAI token, and then XDAI is basically the ether or the native currency of XDAI. So it makes sense that you could think of Honey as Uni, but for HoneySwap. So it makes sense that that's the most liquid pair at this point. But you're right that the amount of value that is moving over across bridges to XDAI is growing, but it's not like I'd be surprised if it gets into the tens and multiple tens of millions anytime soon. And so the cool thing is that it's when you're using these exchanges on XDAI, like you can do trades for you can do a Mesa trade for $1 equivalent, and like the transaction fees are so small that maybe that fits your need. So everything is much smaller value amounts for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess like the point of putting Mesa on XDAI was for lower fees for traders. So I guess the goal is to get liquidity onto.
Well, I think the initial goal, at least I think is articulated by Gnosis, was to test it, use it as more of a testing grounds.
Yeah, I would say that. Oh, yes. Sorry, John.
Yeah, I mean that's just how I understand it. Is the premise for now, at least on Mesa and Gnosis Protocol, is XDAI is a good place to test it out. I think with Omen, the idea is a little more that there are markets that are too small, or the individual buys are prohibitively expensive on mainnet, and XDAI opens up the possibility for those markets.
Yeah, so I'm personally I'm kind of bullish on Omen on XDAI, and I don't know if only for small markets. If the user experience is so much better, it's faster, it's cheaper, then I believe this is a big competitive advantage over Augur and the other prediction markets. If you could predict cheaply on XDAI, then this is it's pretty big, I think.
Right. So I guess I'm just thinking out loud here. So XDAI is really useful if you're building prediction markets. The only there are no cheap ways. There are no gas efficient ways to do prediction markets on Ethereum. So it's the only way to do it is through layer 2.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess the hurdle that we have right now, I don't know if Geronimo is on here, but I think the hurdle that we have right now is with the dispute resolution, right? We're using Reality.io and Claros, and they don't exist on XDAI.
Yeah, you don't that's actually a very cool thing, which is happening right now. We don't want to use XDAI as the base layer for the resolution process, but rather have the Claros mainnet and the Reality.io mainnet doing the whole process, and that's way more decentralized. It doesn't need to, and that's where the DXDAO could be the cheap, the cheap arbitrator and the cheap oracle. We may even think about not really getting rid of, but include an option in Omen that you just pick DXDAO as the god of truth for outcomes, without Reality.io, without anything. And that's and we can be much faster, and it could help us get more members in and just be more on XDAI.
That's interesting, actually.
So and with Mesa, there is rather than not just test, but there's a great use case. If you're doing an order under $2,000 or $2,500, you basically can't do it on Mesa on mainnet. So whether it's an initial offering or whether it's any trade under $2,000 and you want to leave a limit order, as long as there's some liquidity, it doesn't even have to be big liquidity. There just has to be some liquidity on Mesa on XDAI. You could get your smaller order done, because it's that much cheaper. And because it's limit matching, you don't need a lot of liquidity, which is pretty cool.
I like the idea of having like DXDAO be like an Oracle option on the Omen XDAI.
Yeah, I kind of like this in general. I think that in the future, DXDAO could offer basically a resolution to Omen. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Right. So and yeah, like I think there's no need to install any new clone or from the DXDAO to XDAI. Like I personally think it is already confusing that we have two bases now. Most of the members don't look into XDAI right now because there's nothing happening. But I think, and I hope over time we will make sure that there will be activity and people need to like join the XDAI base because they will basically need, like, we kind of need to force them to use XDAI. We need to have like important proposals on XDAI. Right now it's dead, it doesn't have money, but once we have some connections and some money, and they will need to move. They will need to get into XDAI.
And I think I agree with Sky that there's probably not going to be a large influx of money into XDAI anytime soon. Like if you look at DeFi Pulse, it's about like $5.5 million for XDAI itself, like the amount of DAI that's like on. Presumably, it might not actually all be on XDAI. I'm not sure how that works. I guess it's all on XDAI because otherwise it would just be DAI. And so like about a month ago, it was only $500,000, right? So that's a pretty like, there's been a couple of notches up. So, I mean, you can imagine that continuing. Gnosis is obviously pretty committed to XDAI. And I think Sky mentioned HoneySwap. So they have a native XDAI token, HOY, right? So, but if you look at the market cap of HOY is actually 25 million. And I think, I mean, I don't know how like solid of a market cap that is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's because there's not a lot going on. Maybe who knows what the actual kind of liquidity is. There is a lot of token holders, but they have a faucet and stuff. OneHive is behind it. It's a pretty cool community. But I guess where I'm going with this is I feel like even though it's not really intended for a lot of money right now, you never know, right? Like if things take off, valuations can explode overnight in crypto. So it doesn't hurt to like be positioned with our products and stuff there.
Yeah, and it's also like, yeah, sure, it's riskless to wait until the wave happened and everything moved, but it is not costly for us to just do this small bet and be prepared for the actual wave, right? Which means funds are moving to XDAI. And I think now it's like calm, but I'm sure there will be some kind of wave. It doesn't need to be big, especially not for Omen. And also, like, we can make sure that stuff is kind of moving, like with, like I would love to see on Omen XDAI version, the DXSwap integration first, because there we can like put some money into, can you guys hear me? Yeah. So we can. It doesn't need to be even much money. It's like 2,500 DAI with USDC pairs, and that's it. Like small pools.
So the utility,
I'm not sure. Provided functionality.
I'm not sure everybody understands what you're referring to. On Omen, we could potentially use DXSwap to allow users to trade the collateral currency, so that it's an easier experience. Like if you come to Omen and there's a DAI denominated market, but you only have USDC, right? I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like connecting our apps together on chain and on the front end.
So
in general, like it's kind of nice because we do testing on actually real on a real network. So every time we do something on main, we should do the exact same thing on XDAI, and it actually is useful for everyone. So it's like, it's a win-win for us, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, even if XDAI doesn't become a big thing, even if it's not like, we're getting ahead of the curve there, it's still pretty useful for, like you just said, testing for our mainnet deployments. And I think it's also just a useful exercise to deploy on another chain as preparation for the eventual like layer 2 moves, like moving to an optimistic roll-up or something, where this is sort of like a fire drill on redeployed to another chain. Like once we get through this, I think it's almost sort of the same playbook for like an optimistic roll-up situation.
Exactly. Like, and our goal should be to make our apps designed in a way that the bridge functionality and in general, the way people move from one chain to another, it should be just so generic that we just like replace the underlying system, the underlying layer 2 with just something else which will be adopted. So we need to make sure that Omen is kind of ready for bridging, but what kind of bridge it will be, that's up to the market to decide.
What are the possibilities? Has anybody thought about DXDAO running its own bridge to XDAI, or how that might look?
Yeah, I asked the POA guys that. So there's no DAO doing it right now. There's some people that have talked about it, and there are people exploring it, but it is possible. And if we were serious about it, we can start asking the technical questions to their team to know exactly what we would need in place in order to do it. Or because other people are also looking at it, we could wait and see. Depends on our priority, like how fast we want to do it. Like some other people may accomplish that sooner than later, and then we can borrow what they did. So we have two different approaches we could take, depending on like how important it is for us.
Do you know of other DAOs that are actively looking for? Because maybe we could team up.
I imagine Prime DAO might be, but also like when those articles came out about XDAI, like Spank Chain and Amin and that crowd also has talked about the idea and wants it to exist, because no one really likes the fact that these bridges are controlled by such a small set of validators. So a few different teams, but there's no like hard proposal or like actual work being done.
Short of, because I imagine that's like a new technical implementation. I suppose like would another option be for us to stand up our own bridge but have different reputation holders run the validators?
Well, so that would be Elon. How does DAO Stack run the bridge? Is it a multi-sig?
I think so. Yeah, it's basically a multi-sig.
Yeah, so that's the simplest way to do it. Is like you do the bridge just like DAO Stack, or you could make it more. You can make it multi-token as well, and just have. You can have a multi-sig control the bridge.
I would try to figure out how can we run a node as well. But yeah,
I think we've talked about that.
Yeah, I actually looked at this earlier today, and it's not like as many nodes as possible. It's 90 nodes, and there's like sort of like an auction every epoch, which is a defined amount of time, which I don't know what it is. But yeah, they basically select 19 validators, and these guys earn basically all the fees. They validate all the blocks, etc. And yeah, you need a bunch of stake for that.
But the only way we've heard that this could work is if like DXDAO hired some group of people or some company or some person to actually run the actual node, like set up, monitor it, right? And that's the tricky part that DXDAO needs to figure out, because
Yeah.
DXDAO can't run the node, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe with like Filecoin, we would be able to. I'm not sure.
When Filecoin exists.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Right now, this has to be like, it has to run like AWS or something.
But there are, and I think Daniel's on here too. Like, there are scenarios where in the future DXDAO is going to need to do stuff that the DAO can't technically do, whether it's an investment or running a node or something else, or I don't know, owning a real web, like a non-web, some kind of website or whatever it is. Or, and in those cases, the DXDAO may have to hire people to do it. That's like the workaround.
I mean, DXL already hires people to do things, right? So that's not like anything new. I think you just have to wonder. It's just use case dependent in what the trust model is, and that's where I think, if you have to trust, like, me or Sky to run the validator, then it's not really DXDAO running the validator, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so the difference is when DXDAO hires people today, like, it hires someone, they do development work, they give it to the DAO, it's deployed, they get paid, or a bounty, or content, whatever it is. There's no like ongoing trust needed. But if you're running a validator node, if you hire that person and they mess up, you have to be able to hire someone else to replace them. But if they have like they're the only one with the access to that node, you're saying like you can't really like pass it off to someone else who can do it better. It's not possible because they have like that person has the passwords and stuff, right?
Yeah, when you're hiring like an individual to do that, they have complete control, right? So for something like validation, which at some point there could be a serious amount of money or something, right? Like that might be able to be stolen or something. And yeah, it's a little different.
Should DXDAO run an ETH2 node?
I mean, I think it would be great if the DAO could run nodes, like if there was a way for like the DAO to actually do it. I don't know how possible that is.
Yeah, I mean, if the DXDAO is not taking risks, then everything is possible. Like, I can imagine that some dude is running like a node, an ETH 2.0 node, with paying like on his own. He's actually doing the work.
Yeah. So you're saying someone runs the node, and then after the person runs the node for the month and has proven that they paid the cost and ran the node, DXDAO could reimburse that person and say that was on behalf of DXDAO. So only afterwards.
But aren't you trusting the person with like a lot of funds though to set up the node? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think as like an enterprising operation, like as a money-making operation, that potentially makes sense as long as people like understand that you're trusting the individual, the third party, or whatever it is. But if the concept is like, I would love DAOs to run their own nodes, then that's not really what's happening, right? Like, they're just hiring proxies to do it for them.
All right, so we're pretty much at the hour. Is there anything anyone would like to discuss before we sign off? I've got a couple of blog posts that I'll draft up this week.
I just wanted to say, I do think getting to the Omen and Mesa, I do think we should, and XDAI, just think about like the actual like what could we do to increase or draw in liquidity, not just like rely on liquidity building up. And I think like Mesa, IDOs of some sorts, and then Omen, kind of maybe relooking at like markets of like good markets to kind of push and drive that liquidity to XI ourselves. So.
Right. I think Oman and XI makes a lot of sense. And I don't know, if I were to choose one to focus on, it would probably be that.
I agree. Cool.
But it's not up to me, so it's up to you, Dan.
Recording stops. Cool.
All right, good call, guys.
All right. See ya.
Bye.